What if I told you that one habit, something most people consider harmless, could be the reason you feel exhausted, unmotivated, and stuck in life? You might not even realize it, but this one thing is quietly draining your energy, killing your confidence, and keeping you trapped in an endless cycle of weakness. But here's the truth. The ancient Stoics, the greatest minds in history, knew something that modern society tries to ignore. They understood the cost of chasing pleasure, the power of discipline, and the secret to true self-mastery. If you've ever felt unmotivated, if you've ever lacked the drive to accomplish great things, this could be the reason why. And once you know this truth, you'll never look at this habit the same way again. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might just change your life forever. Best key point: pleasure is a trap. The more you chase it, the more it controls you. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." Think about it. Every time you indulge in this habit, you reinforce a mindset of weakness. Your brain gets flooded with dopamine, the pleasure chemical, without you actually achieving anything. And over time, this weakens your motivation, your ambition, and even your masculinity. This is why the Stoics warned against overindulgence. They understood that the more you seek pleasure, the more you become its prisoner. The man who cannot control his desires will never be truly free. The greatest men in history, from warriors to emperors, had one thing in common. They mastered their desires instead of being ruled by them. And that's exactly what you must do to reclaim your power, your confidence, and your future. Number 1. Instant pleasure leads to long-term weakness. In today's fast-paced world, people are constantly seeking instant gratification. Whether it's through social media, junk food, or mindless entertainment, the pursuit of immediate pleasure has become an addiction. One of the most damaging forms of instant gratification is indulgence in habits that provide quick pleasure but weaken discipline, ambition, and self-control. Among these, excessive indulgence in physical pleasure is one of the most destructive. While modern society normalizes this behavior, the Stoics warned that giving in to base desires weakens both the mind and the body. The deceptive nature of instant gratification. At first glance, indulging in pleasure seems harmless. It offers a temporary escape from stress, boredom, or loneliness. However, what many fail to realize is that this short-lived satisfaction comes at a long-term cost. Each time you choose instant pleasure over self-discipline, you train your mind to seek comfort instead of challenge. Over time, this weakens your ability to delay gratification, a key trait in successful individuals. Instead of building resilience, you reinforce a cycle of dependence on easy rewards. Science backs this up. When you indulge in instant pleasure, your brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for pleasure and reward. The problem is that frequent surges of dopamine dull your brain's sensitivity over time. This means that the more you indulge, the more you need to feel the same level of satisfaction. This cycle leads to a lack of motivation for real-world achievements because your brain has already been rewarded without actually accomplishing anything. The Stoic view on pleasure and weakness. The ancient Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, understood the dangers of uncontrolled pleasure. Marcus Aurelius believed that a person who is ruled by pleasure is no better than a slave, as they lack control over their own mind and actions. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Seneca warned that pleasure, when overindulged, becomes a prison. He taught that those who constantly seek comfort and pleasure will struggle when faced with challenges. This explains why many people today feel stuck in life, constantly chasing temporary highs but never building true strength. Weakness. comes from avoiding discomfort. Life is full of difficulties, and those who achieve greatness do so by embracing discomfort rather than running from it. The more you train yourself to resist instant pleasure, the stronger you become. When you avoid difficult tasks in favor of easy gratification, you lose the ability to handle real challenges. Over time, this weakens your willpower, self-discipline, and ability to focus on meaningful goals. Conclusion: choose strength over weakness. If you want to become the strongest version of yourself, you must break free from the habit of seeking instant pleasure. Every time you resist an urge, you build mental resilience. Every time you choose self-discipline over indulgence, you take one step closer to mastery over yourself. The greatest men in history were not ruled by their desires, they ruled over them. The choice is yours: remain trapped in weakness or rise to strength. Number 2. Self-control equals power. In a world where distractions and temptations are everywhere, self-control is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop. Those who lack it become slaves to their impulses, constantly chasing short-term pleasure at the cost of long-term success. On the other hand, those who master self-control gain an unshakable power, the power to shape their destiny, achieve greatness, and command respect. The power of mastering yourself. Think about the most successful, disciplined, and respected individuals in history. What do they all have in common? Self-control, whether it was Marcus Aurelius ruling an empire, Nikola Tesla dedicating his energy to invention, or elite athletes pushing themselves to greatness. Their success came from their ability to delay gratification and focus on what truly mattered. Self-control gives you power over 3 key areas of life. Power over your mind. You control your thoughts, emotions, and reactions instead of letting external events dictate them. Power over your actions. You make conscious, disciplined choices that align with your goals rather than acting on impulse. Power over your future. Every act of self-discipline strengthens your ability to stay on course and achieve what others only dream of. Why lack of self-control leads to weakness? When you lack self-control, you become vulnerable to your desires. Your emotions dictate your actions, and your urges control your decisions. Over time, this leads to a lack of focus. You jump from one distraction to another instead of working towards meaningful goals. A loss of respect. Others see that you are easily swayed by temptation and lack discipline. Regret and guilt. Giving in to bad habits feels good in the moment, but leaves you feeling weak and unfulfilled in the long run. The Stoic view on self-control. The Stoics understood that self-control is the foundation of true power. Epictetus taught that a person should only focus on controlling what is within their power, their thoughts, actions, and responses. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic leaders, believed that true strength comes from controlling your desires, not being ruled by them. He wrote, "You must build up your life action by action, and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." This means that true power isn't found in chasing pleasure. It's in controlling yourself and staying committed to your higher purpose. How to strengthen your self-control. Delay gratification. When faced with temptation, wait before acting. This strengthens your ability to resist impulses. Focus on a higher purpose. Give your energy to something meaningful, whether it's personal growth, fitness, career success, or creativity. Practice daily discipline. Set small challenges for yourself, like waking up early, avoiding distractions, or sticking to a productive routine. Conclusion: control yourself, control your destiny. If you can master self-control, you can master anything. The ability to resist distractions, discipline your desires, and focus on long-term success is what separates the weak from the powerful. The Stoics knew it. The greatest minds in history practiced it. And now you have the chance to apply it to your own life. Choose power over weakness. Choose self-control. Number 3. Pleasure becomes a prison. At first, pleasure seems harmless. It feels good, offers instant relief, and requires little effort. But what if the very thing that gives you comfort is also what's keeping you trapped? The pursuit of easy pleasure, whether through indulgent habits, mindless entertainment, or unhealthy cravings, can slowly turn into a prison. Instead of you controlling pleasure, pleasure starts controlling you. How pleasure traps. Pleasure by itself is not the enemy. However, when it becomes an escape rather than a reward, it starts to erode your strength. Every time you chase instant gratification, your brain gets a surge of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. Over time, this creates a cycle of dependency, making it harder for you to resist urges. You start needing more of it, more often, to feel satisfied. This cycle leads to 3 dangerous consequences. Loss of self-control. You no longer make decisions based on logic or long-term goals. Instead, you act based on what feels good in the moment. Diminished motivation. When you get easy rewards without real effort, your drive to work hard and achieve meaningful goals weakens. Increased regret and dissatisfaction. What felt good for a few moments often leaves you feeling worse afterward. You feel guilty, drained, and stuck in the same place. The Stoic warning against pleasure. The Stoics understood the dangers of uncontrolled pleasure. Seneca warned that those who surrender to pleasure become its slaves. He wrote, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." This means that the more you chase pleasure, the less freedom you actually have. You may think you are making a choice, but in reality, you are simply reacting to urges. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, also cautioned against living for momentary pleasure. He believed that true strength comes from discipline, purpose, and inner control. In his meditations, he wrote, "You could be good today, but instead, you choose tomorrow." This is the trap of pleasure. It convinces you that you can always start self-improvement later, but that later never comes. The long-term cost of short-term pleasure. When pleasure becomes a prison, it steals your potential. Imagine 2 versions of yourself. One version gives in to easy pleasure, wasting time, avoiding challenges, and seeking quick dopamine hits. This version remains stuck, struggling with self-doubt and lacking true confidence. The other version resists fleeting pleasures, choosing self-discipline, hard work, and personal growth instead. Over time, this version becomes stronger, more accomplished, and truly fulfilled. How to break free from the prison of pleasure? Recognize the trap. Understand that pleasure isn't always harmless. If something makes you feel guilty, drained, or unmotivated afterward, it's controlling you. Delay gratification. Instead of seeking instant pleasure, train yourself to wait. Replace impulsive habits with actions that bring long-term rewards. Channel your energy elsewhere. Redirect your focus to meaningful activities like fitness, skill building, or creative pursuits. The more engaged you are in something productive, the less power empty pleasures have over you. Conclusion: choose freedom over pleasure. Pleasure feels good in the moment, but over time it can weaken you, drain you, and hold you back. The real path to fulfillment isn't found in momentary indulgence. It's found in mastering yourself, staying disciplined, and pursuing something greater than instant gratification. The Stoics knew this truth, and now you do too. Break free from the prison of pleasure and take control of your life. Number 4. It kills your masculine drive. Masculine drive is the force that pushes a man to achieve, conquer, and build. It is the energy that fuels ambition, determination, and purpose. But when a man indulges too much in fleeting pleasures, especially those that drain his physical and mental energy, he weakens the very essence of what makes him strong. Stoicism teaches that self-control is the foundation of true masculinity. Without it, a man becomes passive, distracted, and unable to fulfill his potential. How indulgence weakens. Your drive, at its core, masculine drive is about forward movement, setting goals, overcoming challenges, and pushing past obstacles. However, when a man overindulges in pleasure, particularly in self-destructive habits, he slowly loses his edge. Instead of facing the discomfort of hard work, he seeks easy escapes. Instead of striving for greatness, he settles for temporary satisfaction. This creates a downward spiral. Low energy and motivation. Excessive indulgence, especially in instant gratification, drains testosterone levels, leading to fatigue, lack of motivation, and mental fog. Weakened discipline. The more a man gives in to easy pleasure, the harder it becomes to discipline himself in other areas of life, such as fitness, career, and relationships. Lost competitive edge. Great men throughout history were driven by a hunger to achieve. When a man dulls his hunger with meaningless pleasure, he loses his fire to compete and win. The Stoic view on masculine strength. The Stoics understood that true power comes from self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest leaders of all time, believed that indulging in pleasures without restraint makes a man weak. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Seneca warned against being ruled by passions, stating that a man who is controlled by pleasure is no different from a slave. This is because the more a man chases pleasure, the less control he has over his own life. His desires dictate his actions rather than his purpose. A man without purpose is easily manipulated, easily distracted, and easily defeated. Why restraint builds strength. When a man exercises restraint, he builds mental toughness. He trains himself to face discomfort rather than avoid it. Instead of chasing cheap thrills, he channels his energy into developing skills, achieving goals, and becoming a man of value. This is the mindset of warriors, kings, and great thinkers. Resisting indulgence doesn't mean denying all pleasure, it means controlling it. A man who controls his desires rather than being controlled by them is a man who commands respect, both from himself and others. He walks with purpose, speaks with confidence, and acts with intention. How to reignite your masculine drive. Eliminate weakening habits. Recognize what drains your energy and actively replace it with activities that build strength. Develop a purpose-driven mindset. Focus on long-term achievements rather than short-term pleasure. Set ambitious goals and work toward them relentlessly. Cultivate discipline. Train yourself to delay gratification. The ability to say no to distractions makes you more powerful. Conclusion: become the master of yourself. A man without control over his desires is a man without control over his destiny. The more you indulge in fleeting pleasure, the weaker you become. The more you discipline yourself, the stronger you grow. Masculine drive is not something you are born with. It is something you cultivate through self-mastery, purpose, and relentless ambition. Choose power over pleasure, and watch yourself transform into a man of true strength. Number 5. The more you resist, the stronger you become. Strength is not built in moments of comfort. It is forged in resistance. Every time you resist temptation, every time you say no to short-term pleasure, you train your mind to become stronger. Stoicism teaches that self-control is the key to mastering life. The more you resist distractions, urges, and impulses, the more powerful and disciplined you become. Why resistance builds strength. The mind and body adapt to whatever they are repeatedly exposed to. If you constantly give in to temptation, you reinforce weakness. But if you practice restraint, you develop unshakable discipline. Think of a muscle. It only grows when pushed against resistance. The same applies to your mind. The more you challenge yourself, the more mental toughness you build. In life, there are two paths. The easy path. This is the path of instant gratification, where you give in to every desire, avoiding discomfort and discipline. This path leads to weakness, regret, and mediocrity. The hard path. This is the path of self-control, where you delay gratification, resist temptations, and push yourself beyond your limits. This path leads to strength, success, and fulfillment. The Stoic perspective on resistance. Marcus Aurelius understood the importance of resisting urges. He believed that true strength comes from within, writing, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics saw self-mastery as the highest form of power. The more you resist, the more you take control of your own destiny. Seneca also emphasized this by stating that a man who is controlled by his desires is no different from a slave, but a man who governs himself is free. By resisting what weakens you, you gain absolute freedom over yourself. How resistance transforms you. Every act of self-control is an investment in your future. When you resist one temptation, you make it easier to resist the next. Over time, this builds unstoppable mental resilience. Here's what happens when you practice resistance. Your discipline becomes unbreakable. The more you exercise restraint, the easier it becomes. What once seemed difficult becomes effortless. Your confidence grows. A man who controls his desires holds power over his life. This self-mastery radiates confidence and strength. You become more focused and productive. By not being distracted by temporary urges, you direct your energy toward meaningful achievements. You gain true freedom. You are no longer controlled by impulses or addictions. You act with purpose, not out of compulsion. Practical steps to strengthen your resistance. Train your willpower. Daily, challenge yourself by resisting small temptations. Over time, your ability to say no will become second nature. Shift your focus. Instead of dwelling on what you are resisting, focus on the benefits of self-control. Think long-term, not short-term. Develop a strong why. Have a clear purpose behind your actions. When you understand the greater reward, resisting small pleasures becomes easy. Surround yourself with strength. Be around disciplined individuals. Weakness is contagious, but so is strength. Conclusion: mastering yourself is the ultimate power. The battle against temptation is the battle for self-mastery. Every time you resist, you level up. Every time you say no to weakness, you step closer to greatness. True strength isn't about muscles or physical power. It's about the ability to control yourself in every situation. The more you resist, the stronger you become. And in a world that thrives on distractions and temptations, self-mastery is the rarest and most valuable trait of all. Number 6. Replace weakness with purpose. Weakness thrives in the absence of purpose. When you lack a meaningful goal, your mind seeks distractions, mindless entertainment, instant gratification, and indulgence in fleeting pleasures. But when you have a clear purpose, you have no time for weakness. You are driven by something greater than temporary satisfaction. This is the essence of Stoicism, to replace empty indulgence with meaningful action. The illusion of comfort versus the power of purpose. Many people seek comfort over purpose. They choose entertainment over education, pleasure over progress, and indulgence over discipline. But comfort is deceptive. It feels good in the moment, yet it leaves you empty in the long run. Purpose, on the other hand, gives your life meaning. It forces you to rise above weakness and become something greater. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, believed that every man has a duty to fulfill. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This means action must replace hesitation. If you know something is making you weak, remove it. If you want strength, cultivate habits that reinforce it. Why purpose destroys weakness. Weakness is a symptom of a life without direction. A person who wakes up without a goal, without something to strive for, will naturally drift into laziness, procrastination, and distractions. However, when you have a purpose, something that excites you, challenges you, and demands the best version of you, weakness has no place in your life. Consider a warrior preparing for battle. He does not waste time on distractions. His mind is focused, his body is trained, and his spirit is ready. Your life is your battlefield. Your purpose is your mission. If you treat your days with the same urgency as a warrior, weakness will fade away. Steps to replace weakness with purpose. Define your mission. What do you want to accomplish? A man without a mission is a man without direction. Find something that fuels your ambition. Cut out distractions. Weakness survives in distraction. Social media, excessive entertainment, mindless scrolling, these are all tools of avoidance. Eliminate them and focus on real progress. Develop a daily discipline. A purpose-driven life is built one day at a time. Set small daily goals that align with your bigger mission. Surround yourself with purpose-driven people. Weakness spreads through association. If you spend time with unmotivated individuals, their mindset will infect you. Seek out those who push you to grow. Remember your mortality. Stoics remind us that life is short. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Do you want to waste your life on meaningless habits, or do you want to build something lasting? The transformation from weakness to strength. When you replace weakness with purpose, everything changes. Your mind becomes sharper, your energy increases. You start making decisions based on your long-term vision, not short-term impulses. The things that once tempted you lose their power because you have something far more important driving you forward. A weak man is controlled by his urges. A strong man is controlled by his purpose. Choose strength, choose purpose, and watch as weakness disappears from your life forever. Number 7. True freedom is mastery over yourself. Most people believe freedom is about doing whatever they want, whenever they want, but this is an illusion. True freedom is not the ability to indulge in every impulse. It is the power to control yourself. A man who is ruled by his desires, whether it be for pleasure, distraction, or validation, is not free. He is a slave to his impulses. Stoicism teaches that real freedom comes from mastery over oneself, not from surrendering to temporary pleasures. The illusion of freedom. Modern society promotes the idea that happiness comes from indulging in desires. Advertisements, social media, and entertainment constantly push the message that the more you consume, the more satisfied you will be. But look around. Are people who chase instant pleasure truly happy? They are addicted, restless, and always searching for more. They are controlled by their desires, not in control of them. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If you cannot say no to temptations, distractions, and urges that weaken you, then you are not in control. And if you are not in control, you are not free. The power of self-mastery. Freedom comes when you master yourself. When you can say no to your impulses and choose discipline over indulgence, you become powerful. Imagine a man who is not controlled by his emotions, who does not need external validation, who does not seek pleasure to fill a void. That man is free because he controls his mind, his actions, and his destiny. True freedom means you do not need cheap entertainment to feel good. You do not rely on distractions to escape reality. You are not controlled by emotions like anger, jealousy, or fear. You make decisions based on logic, not impulse. How to achieve self-mastery. Control your desires. Every time you resist an urge, you strengthen your willpower. Instead of chasing instant pleasure, focus on long-term success. Discipline. Overindulgence. A man who can discipline himself is powerful. Wake up early, work hard, and train your body and mind. Embrace discomfort. Growth happens when you challenge yourself. Avoiding discomfort keeps you weak. Face difficulties with courage. Detach from outcomes. Do your best, but do not let success or failure control your emotions. Stay balanced. Live by principles, not feelings. Feelings change, but principles remain. Define your values and let them guide your actions. Master yourself, master your life. A man who lacks self-mastery is like a ship without a captain, tossed around by the waves of temptation and circumstance. But a man who controls himself can navigate through any storm. He is unshaken, unstoppable, and truly free. Master yourself, and you will master your destiny. This is true freedom.